Hello guys, you're welcome to Nisike Academia. If you've not subscribed to this channel, hit the subscribe button right away. Also like this video and share. You can also comment as well. Okay, we are going to be looking at FSB 102.2, which is a 100 level course which focuses on the tenets and principles of biology, life in the globe. All right, so it's a 100 level undergraduate course, university course for year one students, and it's basically focusing on the major principles of biology, especially as it relates to life and living organisms in the globe. Now, this video is very important and significant in the sense that it focuses on all the chapters in the course, and correlates with the recommended textbook for this course. All right, so these are the sure exam focus questions that one has to be very familiar with in order for you as a student offering this course to ace the course. All right, so do well to stick to the end. Okay, I have taken my time to put together 250 questions as well as all the answers, okay, to help you understand all the concepts in the course. All right, so we'll be looking at topic by topic, and of course, not just topic by topic, the questions are properly aligned with reference to all the different topics. Okay, so we'll be looking at the questions, each of the questions, and as well the answers to each of them. All right, so look at the first question. I'm saying biology, a species is defined as C, a group of organisms sharing common characteristics and classified as alike. All right, so the answer to this question is C. Okay, number two says species are considered the basic unit of B. The answer is taxonomy and classification. All right, so which scientist regarded species as critical evolutionary units? His name is Meyer. Okay, he did that in the mid 1950s and 1960s, between those 2 years. So he stated species as a critical evolutionary unit. So Meyer is the answer. Okay, then the attempt to define species gave rise to the species problem, which is B. All right, the species problem, which is B. Now the fifth one, the study of species problem, is basically called microtaxonomy. That's B, microtaxonomy. All right, so next one, the biological species concept, okay, defines species to be the interbreeding populations reproductively isolated from others. So that's what the concept of biological species defines species as. All right, so the answer is B. All right, so then the next question, a major challenge to applying biological species, okay, concept in plants, okay, is actually known as frequent hybridization. All right, so it's known as frequent hybridization. Okay, then of course we have the morphology based taxonomic species concept regards species as a smallest diagnosable clusters of lineages, groups with ecological similarity, assemblages of morphologically similar individuals, interbreeding organisms. The answer is this: assemblages of morphologically similar individuals. All right. So then the next question. So the answer, like I said, is D. C rather. The answer is C. Assemblies of morphologically similar individual. Then the next question here is a phonetic species concept is actually based on C, overall similarity and separation by variation gaps. All right. So the answer is C. Now, number 10. Now, it says which concept defines a species as the smallest diagnosable organisms within a parental ancestry. All right, so we have a biological species concept, morphological species concept, phylogenetic diagnosability species concept. So the answer is phylogenetic diagnosability species concept. That was the concept that actually defines species as the smallest diagnosable cluster of organisms, all right, within a parental ancestry and descent. All right, so the answer is C. The next question is autopolyploids. Autopolyploids are often not recognized as distinct species, mainly because of, so the reason why they are not is mainly because of the tradition of including multiple cytotypes in a single species. So normally, cytotypes, okay, are not supposed to be multiple in a single species. All right, they are supposed to be just they're supposed to be just one cytotype. All right, so that was the reason why they are not recognized as distinct species. So because in when it comes to this particular group of species which are called autopolyploids, they are usually multiple in a single species. There are usually multiple cytotypes of them in a single species. All right. So then the next question here is an example of an autopolyploid species. Among all of these, the typical example is, of course, the Z perennis, not Z maize, not Z and diploperennis, not Z mexicana. It is Z perennis. Now, who is regarded as the father of botany? So the father of botany among these four guys, Carolus, um, Carolus Linnaeus. Remember, Carolus Linnaeus was the person who um, brought about the binomial nomenclature. We have Theophrastus, we have Michael Adansi. Michael Adansi was responsible for the zoological distribution of species. We have August Wilhelm Eckler. All right, so the answer is B. All right, so the answer is B, and that's Theophrastus. All right. Alright, so the next one, the artificial system of classification based on numerical characters, okay, was championed by Adanson. Alright, so not Linnaeus, not Eckler, not Theophrastus, it was channeled, it was championed, okay. When we say championed, it was facilitated by the the scientist Adanson. Alright, then we also have classification based on phylogeny was championed by August William Eckler. All right, so you can see the answer is C. All right, now, so alternation of generation involves, so when generation is altered, okay, what does it involve? Does it involve alternation between two diploid stages, or does it involve the alternation between haploid gametophyte and diploid sporophyte? Does it involve alternation between zygote and gamete stages? All right, or does it involve alternation between isomorphic and heteromorphic forms? So the answer is B. It involves alternation between haploid gametophyte and diploid sporophyte. All right, so that's what the alternation of generations involves. All right, so then the next question, the gametophyte is A, diploid and produces spores, B, haploid and produces gametes, C, diploid and produces gametes, D, haploid and produces spores. So the answer is B. The gametophyte is haploid and produces gametes. All right, it's haploid and produces gametes. It does not produce spores. All right, so it does not produce spores, and it's not diploid. Not diploid, it is haploid. All right, all right. So when we say gametophyte, okay, we say the diploid, haploid. To look at diploid, haploid here, diploid has to do with, some people pronounce it as diploid. Okay, it has to do with um an organism that has two sets of chromosomes. You know, one set of chromosome has 23. Okay, 123 chromosomes. Two sets would be like this. It's like a pair, like two 46 chromosomes. All right, so um, that's why we are saying that a gametophyte has a haploid that is 43 chromosomes, which is two sets, and produces haploid has one set that is 23 chromosomes, like the sperm. All right, the sperm cell has 23 chromosomes. All right, so that's an example of haploid and produces gametes. All right, so that's what we mean by gametophyte. Sperm cells, they are examples of gametophytes. Now, in bryophytes, the dash is dominant and the dash depends on it. So basically, when you look at bryophytes, the gametophytes, okay, is the one that is dominant, while the sporophytes depends on the gametophyte. All right, it depends on the gametophyte. All right, so take note of that. All right, then the next question, say in flowering plants, the gametophyte is reduced to a few cells within the sporophyte. The answer is B, is reduced to a few cells within the sporophyte. All right. So the next question, a life cycle with only diploid multicellular phase is called diplontic. All right, it's called diplontic. Anytime you hear the word harp has to do with one set. All right. Um, then diplontic, di means die means two, of course. All right, from the word dipe. Okay, so a life cycle with only a diploid multicellular. Multicellular has to do with organisms with multiple cells. All right, like we have the eukaryotes and the prokaryotes. All right, so the eukaryotes are more like mostly for organisms that are multicellular and of course have a well-defined nucleus. All right, so the answer is C, diplontic. Now, the multicellular haploid organism that produces gamete at maturity is called A. Sporophyte, B. Gametophyte, C. Zygote, D. Antheridium. Alright, so the answer to all of that is actually B. Gametophyte. Alright, so it's gametophyte that is the answer. Now, in plants with alternation of generations, alright, the diploid generation is known as dash. All right. So the diploid generation is known as the sporophyte. Okay. Then sporophyte is the answer. Now, unlike plants, animals do not produce spores. All right, because A, their gametes are diploid, B, their gametes are haploid, produced directly by meiosis, C, they lack gametophytes, D, they have no alternation of generation. The answer is their gametes are haploid, produced directly by meiosis. All right, so unlike plants, animals do not produce spores because their gametes are haploid, produced directly by meiosis. You know what meiosis and mitosis are, all right? So when it comes to cell multiplication and cell division, all right? So now, when sporophytes and gametophytes are of almost identical appearance, the condition is actually called a heteromorphy, all right? Homomorphy, then oyagamy and dioxy. The answer is homomorphy, all right? That's B. So the answer is B, that homomorphy. Okay, then the next question here is, which of the following groups have dominant gametophytes? Okay, so A, ferns, B, seed plants, C, liverworts and mosses, D, flowering plants. All right, so the answer is C, liverworts and mosses. All right, so liverworts and mosses among all these groups have dominant gametophytes. Okay, have dominant gametophytes. We have what we call recessive gametophytes as well, but these ones are dominant in nature. All right, then the next one, in seed plants, the gametophyte is A, large and independent, B, equal in size to the sporophyte, C, reduced and dependent on the sporophyte, D, dominant over the sporophyte. So the answer is that the in seed plants, the gametophyte is reduced and it depends fully on the sporophyte. Remember, we talked about it initially that gametophytes are dominant and the gametophytes are dominant and the sporophyte depends on the gametophyte. Don't forget that, especially in seed plants. All right. So now the next question here is, gametes that are identical in form and motility are described as isogamy. Iso has to do with this in from the word iso. Iso. Heterogamy has to do with external form and motility. Okay. Monoicy has to do with one. Okay, with one form of motility, just one form of motility. But when we look at identical, from the word isomerism, isotopy, it has to do with something that is common, something that is similar. Now, the structure that produces male gametes in plants is called A, archegonium, B, antheridium, C, sporangium, D, ovule. So the answer is B, antheridium. What pollination is now, the movement of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma. Okay, so the antheridium, all right, the antheridium um is coined from the word anther. Okay, then of course that's how fertilization occurs, but there has to be pollen grains moving from the anther to the stigma first. All right, so the next question here is, a plant in which both antheridia and akegonia occur on the same gametophyte. So that plant is actually called the monoecious. All right, so that's B, monoecious. So not dioecious, not homosporous. All right, not heterosporous. So the answer, the plant that has both antheridia and akegonia. All right, and akegonia is called the is called the monoecious. All right, so that's what the plant is called, mono. Okay, all right. So okay, now, if you look at it now, the reason why it's called mono is because they occur on the same gametophyte. It's not because it has both this and this. So this question should not confuse you thinking that it's a dioecious. All right, the same gametophyte. The same gametophyte is like on one gametophyte. All right, a plant in which both this occur on one. All right, is called monoecious. All right. The next question is spores of distinct sizes, two distinct sizes, all right, which are megaspores and microspores, are produced in which condition? So they are produced in the heterospory, all right, so they are produced in the heterospory because they have two distinct sizes, more like two separate sizes, two external sizes. Okay, so they are produced in the condition called heterospory. Okay, now the next question, which of the following plants produces both stamens and carpets in the same flower? So that plant, among all of these, hazel does not. Hazel does not. Holly does not. Willow does not. So it is lily that does. All right, it's lily that does. All right. So the next question is double fertilization, where one sperm fertilizes the egg and another sperm endosperm. Another sperm forms the endosperm. All right, and another sperm forms the endosperm. It's actually unique. It's something that is common among angiosperms. All right, not bryophytes, not gymnosperms, not ferns. All right, it's common among angiosperms. Okay, then we have the another question. The evolutionary advantage of diploid in plants is primarily attributed to genetic complementation. All right. Next question, in fungi, the fusion of cytoplasm between two mycelia of different mating types, all right, is called plasmogamy. All right, that's B. Okay. Now the next question, the multi the multinucleate structure formed in fungi before nuclear fusion. All right, it's actually known as the heterokaryon. All right, karyon has to do with the structure of fungi. All right, and especially nuclear fusion of cells. All right, so it's called heterokaryon. All right, so now in slime molds, the zygote develops in what we call the plasmodium. All right, that is in slime mold. You know what plasmodium is? Plasmodium is the parasite that tends to cause malaria. We have Plasmodium falciparum, we have Plasmodium volvox, we have um, different forms of Plasmodium. All right, so those are called slime molds. Okay, so the zygote develops in Plasmodium particularly. All right, now which of the following is not considered a characteristics of life? So among all of these, the one that is not a characteristic of life is inertia. So inertia is your D. Inertia is D. So inertia is option D. Living organisms responds to stimuli. They grow and develop. They also metabolize. So the answer is D. Okay. So now the next question. A reversible physiological change in response to altitude is actually an example of um, altitudinal adaptation, which is B. Altitudinal adaptation, which is B. Reversible physiological change in response to altitude. All right, altitude has to do with height. All right, so that change, that functional change in response is called altitudinal adaptation. That is getting used to that altitude, a particular altitude, especially by living organisms. All right, we're talking about life, we're talking about living organisms, so it's called altitudinal adaptation. All right, so now the next question here, development of pesticides represents resistance rather in insects is actually an example of B, Okay, genetic mutation. All right, genetic mutation. Okay, so it's an example of genetic mutation. Now, the first scientist to initiate classification of biodiversity in plant and animal kingdom. Okay, that for scientist A. Carlos Linnaeus, B. John Ray, C. Charles Darwin. All right, then D. Robert Hooke. So the answer is B. Okay, the answer is B, which is John Ray. So John Ray was the first ever scientist to actually um initiate the classification of biodiversity in plant and animal kingdoms. All right. So now, ribosomal RNA sequence analysis led to the identification of three aboriginal um, aboriginal lines of descent, which are Eubacteria, Archaebacteria, and A. Protista, B. Eukaryotes. Then we have Animalia. Then D. Fungi. So the answer is eukaryotes. So eukaryotes were actually formed, okay, formed from the analysis of the RNA ribosomal sequence, and these eukaryotes, together with eubacteria and archaebacteria, okay, were the aboriginal lines, okay, that were formed during this analysis. Okay, so um once again, if you've not subscribed to this channel, do well to subscribe. All right, so for the remaining part of this PDF, like I said, there are 250 questions. All right, so you send me a message on WhatsApp. Okay, send me a message on my WhatsApp. Do well to subscribe to the channel. Also, like this video and comment. All right, so you send a screenshot of the screen that you have actually subscribed. All right, and also liked the video, and as soon as possible I will drop the PDF for this video. Okay, like I said, I've been able to put together 250 questions. 250 questions that you can see. There's so much of them. All right, there's so much of them, and all of these questions are questions that you should expect. All right, all these questions are questions you should actually expect that any potential exam that is set with regard, you see the list is still long, is still going. All right, any potential exam that is actually set with regards to this course, all right, should come from this exam focus. All right, so um that's one thing you should be sure of. All right, and one thing is that it will also enable you to be familiar with the entire concept of the tenets and principles of biology, especially as it has to do with life in the globe. All right, so do well to send me a message. Okay, do well to send me a WhatsApp message to the number 0814 0906243. All right, and you should ensure that you have already subscribed to the channel. All right, and also like the video. If you look at now, this is the 250th question. The cap, gills, and stalk, okay, are structures which are associated with A, yeast, B, mushrooms, C, molds, D, algae. All right, so as you can see, the answer is mushrooms. All right, which are called agaricomycetes. Okay, agaricomycetes. So do well to send a message for the remaining part of this video. All right, so more videos will be uploaded on other fields. Okay, so one thing about this channel is I will cover every aspect, every major aspect of science: biology, chemistry, physics, mathematics, all right, medical sciences, even clinical sciences. All right, so do well to be glued to this channel and be educated in your field of study, and generally every other aspect to also facilitate you to have a versatile academic life. All right, thank you and bye bye.